Hello, welcome to the Robotics for Kids tutorial. My name is Emerike Adaeze. I'm a STEM education facilitator and I'll be your guide through this video. We will be talking about variable in Scratch programming, a way to save a piece of information that is recurrent and very susceptible to change. But before we dive right in, what exactly is a variable? It's a placeholder that can be used to store values. These values can change from time to time, and the variable can be called up multiple times while coding. Let's take a glass for an example. A glass is a container that is used to hold water. But also, this glass we can use to serve orange juice, milk, apple juice, and so much more. We call on this glass, we go to take this glass whenever we need to serve any of such. And the quantity of whether the orange juice or the milk in this glass varies depending on how much you drink from the glass or how much we pour into the glass. So this glass is our variable, and its content, which is the value, the orange juice or the milk, can always change. Let's look at another relatable scenario, your account balance. Your account balance is a variable created for you by your bank. The value changes whenever you deposit money into your account or whenever a withdrawal is being made or when a deduction for a payment or whatever is being made. The value of how much you have in your account balance is very susceptible to change depending on what activity you carried out. When creating a variable, a label or name is usually given. One can decide to use any name at their disposal, but it is best to use a name that describes properly the variable you want to store. So guys, I'll be showing you one way we can use a variable. We'll code a game, and then in the game I'll show you how to create and use the variable. So it will be a simple chase game. Let me take out the sprites. We'll be needing two sprites. I'll be going for a star and a robot. Okay, I'll pick this. So the idea behind the game is that this star will be moving randomly, and then you will control the robot to go after the star, to chase the star. Once the robot comes in contact with the star, you've gotten a score for the game. The next thing we'll do is to add a backdrop to make it look more realistic. Let's see if there's space. Okay, we have the galaxy. I'll pick this. This looks better. And now we'll proceed to writing codes for the two sprites. First, let's write for the robot. The robot is highlighted. It's over here. Since we'll be controlling the robots, we'll be giving it directions, telling it how to move, where to move to. There are 4 directions that robots can move to. We can go upwards, down, left, or right. So we'll go to our event and we'll select this code and duplicate it 4 times. To duplicate, just right click and then select duplicate. Now I've duplicated it 4 times. You come over to this place, you click on it, and then you select. We'll be using the arrow keys. The up arrow for it to move upwards, the down arrow for it to come down, the right arrow for it to go to the right, and the left arrow for it to move to the left. We have 4 directions the robot can move towards. So the next thing we should do is to go to motion. We say when we press the up arrow key on our keyboard, we want this robot to move upwards. So there is something I would like to explain before we continue with the coding. Let's go back to the question. Now watch these two lines here, this and this. This is vertical and this is horizontal. This vertical line that is running from up to down is called the y-axis, while the horizontal one running from left to right is called the x-axis. If an object is located here on this line called the y-axis, and we want that object to change location, either to move upwards or downwards, the code we are going to give to it is to ask it to move a certain number of steps upward on the y-axis or downwards on the y-axis. But if we want an object that is located here on this horizontal line to move, that object can only move towards the right or towards the left on the x-axis. This is to say that an object moving towards the right or towards the left is moving on the x-axis, but an object moving upwards or downwards is moving on the y-axis. Now let's go back to the code. So when we press the up arrow key, we want the robot to move upwards on the y-axis. So we'll look for a code that says change y by 10. So it means that wherever this robot is at the point before we run this code, after we've run the code, the robot will move 10 steps upwards on the y-axis. For the robot to go down, we'll select the same code again and then change the value. We'll change this to -10. So on the same y-axis, if we intend for the robot to move up, it should take 10 steps upwards. But then if we want it to come down, it should take 10 steps. It's a subtraction of 10 steps from the one it has taken upwards will bring it downwards. So you understand how the movement works now on the y-axis. Now for the x-axis, we'll select the code that says change x by 10 if we want the robot to move to the right. Then if we want it to go to the left, we'll still select change x by 10 and change this value to -10. Yeah, now let's try it out. Just go to the arrow keys on your keyboard, press the right arrow key, you see it's moving towards the right. The left arrow key is moving towards the left, the down arrow key and the up arrow key. Now with these arrow keys, you can easily control the robot and direct it towards wherever you want it to go at any point. We've written a code on how to control the robot. Let's go over to the star now. Because we won't be controlling the star, we want the star to just move randomly. Then the robot will do the chase. We'll go to events and select when flag clicked. What do we want? For the star to glide 1 second to a random position. Now let's click this and see what the result will be. Yes. So but then we don't want to keep clicking on this flag before the star will move. So what do? We go to control and then select forever. The star will continuously glide to different positions. As you can see, it's moving randomly. Then the robots will do the chase. As the star is moving randomly, the robots will go after it. You'll be using the arrow keys to control the robot. Now there's another fun thing we can do. We can add sound. That when the robot actually comes in contact with this star, we should hear his sound so that we would know for sure that the robot actually touched the star. Now this code will be for the robot. Let me adjust this. So we'll go to event. When flag is clicked, if the robot is touching the star, let a certain sound play. So we'll go to control and choose the if statement. If in here, this vacant space you're seeing here, we're going to insert a code that would execute a certain function if whenever the robot touches the star. So if we'll go to sensing and select this, then we'll go to this drop down and select star. Since this code is for the robot, it is saying that if the robot is touching the star, then a certain sound should be played. Let's go over to sound and select play sound. Here. Okay, so now let's go to sound. What sound will I want? There are a lot of sounds here. Very effect. Okay, magic spell. I think this works for me. So I'll come over here at this drop down and select magic spell. Alright, let's try it now and see. Yes, that works. But then you will notice that if the robot touches the star again, no other sound will play. This is because this code, we actually asked it, the way we wrote it, it should only execute once. Then what we will do for this to be continuous is to go and select forever, so that whenever the robot touches the star, for as long as this game is ongoing, this sound must play. Let's run it again. Let's see the results in effect. Yes. Yes. So whatever part of the robot that touches the star would cause for that sound to play. Now that has been achieved. The next thing we will do now is to implement the variable. Now that we know that a sound will play whenever the robot touches the star, we want it to be our benchmark for the game. If the robot touches the star, we want a score to be allocated to whomever is playing. So that is where our variable comes to play. We'll come to this place that says variable, and we'll create a variable for this game. That variable will be named score, and I want it to be for this sprite alone. Okay, so you see here the variable is for robots and the variable name is score. So what we want is that whenever this robot touches the star, let this variable score be increased. So now that we've created the variable, the next thing we'll do is to set the value of the variable. We'll click on here and select score. We want score to be initialized to 0. We don't want any value there. We want it to be 0, so that whenever the robot touches the star, it will start counting. So for when the robot touches the star, the first thing we want to happen is for the variable score to change before the sound is played. So what we'll do is to select this code, insert it here. So if robot is touching the star, then change score, this variable we've created, change it by 1, then play sound until done. Okay, let's try this out. Okay, see our score changed. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So guys, that is how easy it actually is to create and use a variable in your programming. So you can try this out. Create a simple game, pick any character of your choice, create a variable named score for the game, implement it, use it in your code. Let's see how it works. Take care.
So try out this exercise and let's see your results. Stay tuned.